Heartwarming request, little girl, alone for 7 years, begs CEO for one life-changing day together. Lily stood on the swing set, her heartbeat synchronizing with the creaking sound of the chains. The warm sun kissed her freckled cheeks, yet it didn't warm the chilling loneliness that seemed to wrap around her. For 7 long years, she had floated from one foster home to another, each departure leaving fresh scars on her heart. In the small Midwestern town of Maplewood, she was just another child in the system, the girl with the big, hopeful eyes who came to the park alone. Every swing was a small escape, but today, sitting on her little perch, she yearned for something much more. With a determined heart, Lily pulled out a crumpled piece of paper she had tucked into her pocket. "Dear Mr. Mark Harrison," she began, imagining him reading her words in his sprawling office while surrounded by accolades and success. "I'm 10 years old. I've spent most of my life waiting for a family, just one day to feel what it's like to belong." Tears blurred her vision, but she pressed on, her pencil moving swiftly over the paper. "Please, I just want one day of laughter, love, and happiness like everyone else." As she tied the letter to a bright red balloon and released it into the sky, Lily felt a weight lift from her chest. "I hope it reaches you," she whispered, watching it soar into the heavens, carried by hope. Meanwhile, Mark Harrison sat in his high-rise office, buried under reports of quarterly performance and stock market trends. His phone buzzed and a notification caught his eye, a blog headline about a little girl's heartfelt letter. Intrigued, he clicked and began to read. Lily's words struck him hard. He could almost see her on that swing, swinging alone while the world around her spun. Memories flooded his mind. He remembered his struggles, the nights spent in shelters, and the sacrifices of his mother. That loneliness rang a bell. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Determined to give back, Mark contacted the park where the balloon landed. A whirlwind of excitement followed when he arranged to meet Lily. The day arrived, and the nervous energy crackled like static electricity. But as they started to bond over ice cream and laughter, whispers circulated. Was it really appropriate for a CEO to spend his time with a foster child? Judgments became sharper as they walked through Maplewood together. "Look at her," a woman muttered under her breath. "What does she have in common with him?" The words sliced through the day, and for a moment, Lily's smile faltered. But gathering her courage, she lifted her chin, tears threatening to spill. "I'm not just a foster kid," she said, her voice strong yet trembling. "I'm Lily. I have dreams just like anyone else." Feeling her pain surge through the air, Mark realized the bond they shared wasn't just an act of charity, it was something deeper, a need for connection that surpassed every societal barrier. As they stood atop a hill in the park, overlooking a town that felt both close and distant, they felt light yet heavy. The horizon sprawled before them, filled with uncertainty. Can their bond withstand the scrutiny of a divided society? Will they find a way to challenge the barriers that kept them apart? As they gazed into the distance, their hearts raced, filled with hope and dread. What adventures awaited them in the next chapter of their story? A gentle breeze rustled the leaves above them, weaving between Lily's hair like a playful spirit. Mark looked down at her, his heart swelling with protectiveness. He didn't want to let go of this moment. Not now. Not ever. Want to see something cool? Mark knelt down, catching her eye with a spark of excitement. Yeah. Lily's eyes lit up. Mark led her to a small, hidden pond nearby, a gem tucked away from the busy park. The sunlight danced on the water's surface, and there were dragonflies flitting about like tiny jewels. "This place," he said, tossing a rock into the water that sent rippling waves outward. "I used to come here when I felt alone." Lily stepped closer, her gaze fixed on the shimmering pond. Why did you feel alone? The question hung in the air, a weighty reminder of the struggles they both bore. Mark hesitated but felt an unexpected urge to open up. I was just a kid, like you. I didn't always have a home, you know. Her eyes widened, a mix of curiosity and empathy. You were in foster care, too? Not exactly. But my mom worked really hard, and times were tough. He drew in a breath, swallowing the flood of emotions. Sometimes we didn't have a stable place. That's why I want to help kids like you. You should never feel alone. Lily stepped back, her fingers anxiously twisting the hem of her shirt. But I feel alone all the time, Mark. Not just when I'm at the park. I'm not like you, and people always think. They think what? Mark asked softly, kneeling to meet her gaze. People think because I'm a foster kid, I don't matter. The words spilled out, raw and vulnerable. The weight of years poured into that moment, the hurt she had carried casting shadows on her innocent face. Mark wanted to cry. But you do matter, Lily. More than you know. Why? Her voice was barely a whisper. I'm just one girl. Alone. Because each person makes a difference. He paused, willing his voice to stay steady. When we connect with others, we create ripples. Like in this pond. You can touch hearts, change lives, even with just one day. Lily let the words wash over her, feeling the warmth of hope pushing against the chill in her heart. Just as she did, a small group of children splashed into the pond's edge, their laughter ringing out like a beautiful melody. Lily turned to watch as they played, their joy infectious, and for one fleeting moment, she felt a part of something bigger. Would you like to sit and watch the kids for a while? Mark suggested that a small smile broke through her worry, illuminating her face. Can we? Of course. As they sat together, they began to listen to the giggles and shouts, the sheer bliss ringing out like a soundtrack to their uncharted bond. Birds flitted overhead, and bright colors swirled in the background while the world faded into soft focus. But just as Lily began to lose herself in the adventure, a shadow fell over them. A stern-looking woman approached, arms crossed and lips pursed, her eyes scanning Mark with thinly veiled disapproval. What are you doing with that girl? She demanded, her voice sharp. Mark felt the tension rise in his chest. What would he say to defend their fragile paradise? Could he stand against this unexpected storm? Lily's eyes darted from the woman back to Mark, uncertainty clouding her face. Would this moment slip through their fingers as quickly as the ripples in the pond? A crushing silence enveloped them, leaving a question lingering in the air. How would they shield their budding friendship from the prying eyes of a world too often blind to love? Mark felt a knot form in his stomach. The woman's sharp gaze cut through the serene atmosphere they had created, and he could see the fear flicker in Lily's eyes. She looked so small, and the world felt suddenly dangerous. I'm just showing her this pond, he said, trying to project calmness, but his voice trembled slightly. The woman scoffed, her arms growing tighter across her chest. And who gave you permission to hang out with her? Do you even know her story? I'm just a friend. Mark took a steadying breath. I care about kids like Lily, and I want her to know she matters. People like you think they can just come in and fix everything, she snapped, her tone full of accusation. What do you know about living her life? You're just a stranger. Mark opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. He could feel Lily's small hand searching for his, and he clasped it tight, grounding her in this moment. It's okay, Lily, he murmured. You're not alone. But the woman's glare didn't soften. That's easy for you to say. You have no idea what it's like to feel abandoned. Lily's grip on Mark tightened, and he could hear her breath quickening. He glanced down at her, searching for the strength she needed right now. In that instant, he remembered the deceit of hopelessness and the power of connection he had promised her earlier. Actually, I do know what it's like, he said quietly. I know what it feels like to want someone to see you, to care. Maybe we don't share the same story, but we've both felt the sting of loneliness. The woman hesitated just for a moment, doubt flickering in her eyes. But she squared her shoulders, unwilling to let go. And you think that just because you're nice, it makes it right? No, I don't just think that. Mark's heart raced, and easily could have been anger, but it was more than that. I want to help. I've walked a different path, but my heart wants to be here for her. All kids deserve that, don't they? Maybe, the woman said, her demeanor softening just slightly, but what if you're wrong? What if you just disappear like everyone else? Then at least she knows that someone cared for a moment, Mark replied. As long as there is hope, she'll always matter. In that silence, Lily squeezed his hand tightly. Mark could feel her need for reassurance and the hope that flickered within her. And what is your name? The woman asked finally, her voice quieter, more curious. Mark, he said, meeting her gaze with strength. And this is Lily. Lily lifted her chin slightly as if to say she mattered in that moment, too. The tension hung in the air, and for a heartbeat, they were all suspended in a fragile truce. Listen, I'm not trying to cause trouble. The woman paused, her expression shifting as she studied Lily's hopeful face. I worry about kids like her. I just want to make sure she is safe. Safety is important, Mark replied, but so is feeling like you belong. Just then, a child from the group splashed closer, laughter spilling into the air. Come play with us. The little girl called, innocent joy written all over her face. Lily's eyes sparkled at the invitation, a blend of excitement and hesitation. The woman looked back and forth, torn as she caught a glimpse of the carefree connection taking place right before her. Maybe just a few minutes, the woman finally relented, her arms uncrossing slightly. Really? Lily's voice was a whisper, a spark of joy igniting in her chest. Just a few, the woman nodded, her resolve cracking just a bit as Lily bounced with enthusiasm. Mark felt a sense of relief wash over him. Thank you, he said earnestly, looking directly at her. But just as they were about to get up, Mark's phone buzzed in his pocket. He glanced down, seeing a message from a number he didn't recognize. It simply read, I know what you did last summer, and it's time to pay up. His heart sank, the sweetness of the moment tainted by an uninvited shadow. What had he gotten himself into now? As laughter echoed in the background, joy on one side and tension on the other, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that the battle for Lily's heart was only just beginning. Mark's hand squeezed on his phone, the message pulsing through him like a siren in the night. It felt like ice water coursing through his veins, leaving him cold and anxious. He forced himself to put the device away, determined not to spoil this moment for Lily. Come on, Lily. He encouraged, smiling brightly despite the storm brewing inside him. Let us go have some fun. Lily's face lit up as she pulled him toward the group of children laughing and playing. The splash of water from the pond sparkled in the sunlight, a picturesque scene that contrasted sharply with the darkness that lurked in the back of Mark's mind. The laughter around them felt like a fragile bubble, something delicate that could burst at any moment. Hey, do you want to play tag? A boy shouted, racing toward them with a grin that spread from ear to ear. Tag? Lily's eyes twinkled, uncertainty grappling against the excitement bubbling within her. Yeah. It's easy. Just run. The boy urged, beckoning for her to join. Mark watched as the hesitation melted away from Lily's features, replaced by an eagerness he hadn't seen before. She let go of his hand and dashed toward the group, her laughter mingling with theirs as they scattered. As Mark leaned against a tree, heartwarming as he witnessed Lily's joy, the worry gnawing at him never fully left. Someone knew about his past, something he thought he had left behind. Hey! The woman returned to his side, arms crossed again, but her expression shifted to curiosity rather than confrontation. You don't seem like the type to just take off. No, he admitted, unsure of the ground he was treading. I'm here for her. She nodded, glancing over at Lily. She deserves someone like that. Like I said before, Mark replied, I believe every kid deserves to know they matter. Especially her. The woman sighed, a flicker of sympathy passing over her steely demeanor. It's just, kids like her, they've been through so much. You can't judge those who are trying to protect them. Not everyone gets to have a happy ending. I understand, Mark said, allowing her words to sink in. But sometimes, the fear keeps them trapped. I want to show her that she can have moments of joy, moments that matter. Mark's gaze drifted back to Lily, who was now giggling, her small form darting around the pond. It felt like taking a deep breath after holding it for too long, seeing life bloom where it could have withered away. The woman softened once more, her expression broken by the glimmers of hope she saw in Lily. You really care about her, don't you? More than I can express, Mark said, his voice vulnerable, raw. Just as relief washed over him, his phone buzzed again, more insistently this time. He slipped it from his pocket, noting the new message urgently. Mark, remember what I said. Don't forget your obligations. His mind raced. This wasn't just about him anymore. There was a chance he could lose everything he'd built, especially now that he was beginning to find a place that felt like family in Lily and the community around her. Who is it? The woman asked, peering at his phone screen. It's nothing. Just a reminder for work, he said, evading her keen gaze. You seem troubled, she observed quietly. If you're going to take care of her, you need to be all in. No half measures. Trust me, I'm all in, Mark insisted, his tone growing firmer. But in those words echoed a truth. Was he really? Could he truly commit to Lily and the path ahead without being haunted by his past? Would he have to confront it to remain in her life? As Lily raced over, breathless and beaming, the warmth of her spirit filled the air, but one burning question loomed larger in Mark's heart than the joy surrounding them. How could he protect her from the shadows he couldn't escape? While the game continued, an uncertain space hung between them all. Mark sought a way to become the steadfast presence Lily needed while dealing with the consequences of a life he thought he had left behind. Ready to play? Lily called, her innocence shining like a beacon. But just as Mark opened his mouth to answer, a shadowy figure appeared at the edge of the playground, watching him closely. Who were they? And what did they want from him? Mark squinted, trying to make out the figure hovering at the edge of the playground. The day was bright, yet this presence seemed to draw all the color out of the air. His heart pounded as he leaned slightly forward, uncertainty gripping him. Who was that person? Lily bounded back toward him, the movement a burst of light against the daunting shadow. Did you see me? Her cheeks were flushed with excitement, and her laughter floated through the air like a melody. For a moment, Mark felt that joy might outweigh the darkness creeping into their moment. Yes, I did. Mark beamed back, pushing the worry down. You were amazing. Let us go again. She tugged at his hand, and he hesitated, glancing over his shoulder again at the figure who remained rooted in place. Just a second, okay? Mark said softly, kneeling to her level. Can you take a quick break? I need to check on something. His voice was steady, but inside he felt all the knots tightening again. Okay. Lily skipped over to her friends, and Mark stood, torn. The figure was still watching, and now they took a step forward. Mark, the woman next to him said quietly. You should go see who they are. There was no judgment in her tone, just a fierce concern that he nodded, taking a breath. I'll be right back. With cautious steps, he approached the person. The sun glared down as he got closer, illuminating a young woman with a determined look etched on her face. She looked familiar, but he couldn't place her. Mark Thompson, she said, her voice even but urgent. We need to talk. Who are you? He asked, eyes narrowing. His instincts were flaring, sensing danger. I'm someone who knows your past. She didn't flinch from his glare. I'm here to remind you what you've left behind. The words hit him like a punch. No, no, he couldn't let this happen. I'm not interested. That's a part of my life I moved on from, he managed to say, but his resolve felt shaky. You think you can just walk away? You owe people who are still waiting for your return, she pressed, her eyes gleaming with intensity. You owe them your loyalty. At that moment, Mark felt the world shifting. He recalled the faces of those he thought he had escaped from the promises he made and the goodbyes he never wanted to say. No one is waiting for me, he snapped back, anger fueling his words. I've built a new life. I'm trying to protect someone who deserves a chance. You're not going to ruin that. The woman took a step closer, lowering her voice. What if I told you that your past could help her? The proposition hung in the air, heavy and dangerous. What are you suggesting? Mark asked, skepticism coloring his tone. Just meet with them, hear what they want. You might be surprised. Sometimes those we've left behind can bring about the best changes. Mark halted, hesitation curling around his heart. He could have clarity or chaos, a bridge to his former life or a secure hold on the one blossoming in front of him. Was he ready to invite that storm into the calm he found with Lily? As his mind raced, he glanced back at Lily, her laughter echoing like music in the distance. She stood with her friends, a picture of innocent joy, completely unaware of the weight pressing on his shoulders. Just think about it, the woman said softly, her voice cutting through his thoughts. You owe it to her. Mark felt the pull of conflicting emotions, each one vying for attention. Could he truly step back into that world for Lily? Before he could answer, fists clenched, the woman stepped away, leaving him with the choice on the table, tread the old ground or let the past bury him alive. And at that moment, filled with uncertainty, he felt the full weight of the crossroads he stood upon. But Lily's laughter pulled him back. Would he really risk everything for a chance to embrace his past or stand tall against it to protect what he cherished most? The choices lay before him like the vast blue sky above, and the only question that remained was which path he would take next. Mark stood frozen, his mind racing over the woman's words. The past felt like quicksand, ready to swallow him whole if he took even a single step toward it. Yet, as he watched Lily laughing and playing, the warmth of her joy anchored him. He had fought so hard to build a life for her, could he risk everything just to glance at the history he thought he had left behind? Mark! Lily called out, her bright voice slicing through his tangled thoughts. She waved, a joyous smile lighting up her face. Are you coming? The worry had dissipated, replaced by innocent excitement. Her world was untouched by the shadows that danced at the edge of his consciousness. He dragged his gaze from the woman and forced a smile for Lily, his heart heavy with uncertainty yet filled with the fierce desire to protect her. I'll be right there. He shouted back, but his mind was elsewhere. What did it mean to owe loyalty to a past that had brought him pain? And why would anyone still be waiting for him? As he returned to the playground, Lily's little arm wrapped around his waist like a shield, he couldn't shake the feeling that the conversation with the stranger had just begun. A new light flickered in him, a guilty curiosity that disturbed his otherwise calm waters. Can we go back to the swings? She asked, her eyes sparkling with hope. Sure, let us go. He said, his voice cheerful. Yet, thoughts of the woman haunted him, her piercing eyes refusing to let go. He took a deep breath and tried to focus on Lily, on the happiness brewing around them. The swings creaked as they settled into rhythm, rising and falling under the sun. The laughter of children mingled with the sound of nearby birds fluttering about, yet the tension in Mark's chest didn't ease. He felt a responsibility, a silent promise that coursed through him that he would do anything in his power to keep Lily safe and happy. Mark? Lily's voice chimed again, pulling him from his spiraling thoughts. Are you thinking about the lady who was there? You look worried. Caught off guard, he turned to her, then looked away. Just thinking about some grown-up stuff. Hey, she said, her small hand reaching for his. You can tell me. I'm good at listening. Her simple honesty hit him right in the heart. This little girl his anchor didn't need to bear the weight of his burdens. It's okay, really. I promise to share when I'm ready, he replied, hoping to ease the concern etched on her face. She tilted her head, studying him. Okay, but just so you know, I don't like it when you're sad. The sweetness of her words almost made his heart ache. I know, Lily. Thank you for being so wonderful. A smile spread across his face, genuine and bright. The moment passed in quiet companionship, but the uninvited figure loomed in his mind. As they played, the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows that stretched across the playground. After several rounds on the swings, Mark returned to the spot where the figure had stood. But she was gone. His heart dropped but soared all at once. Was that a sign? Had she found someone else to haunt? Mark, look. Lily pointed excitedly at a bunch of vibrant balloons tied to a bench nearby. Can we go see? Please. Mark nodded, compelled by her enthusiasm. As they approached the balloons, a sinking feeling pulled at his insides. What if the woman returned? What if she had left a message, or worse, someone else from his past appeared? Yet, there was no room for that darkness here. Only Lily and the bright world she created around them. As they reached the balloons, Mark's resolve hardened. He couldn't run forever. Let me make a deal with you, Lily, he said, bending to her level. If something happens tomorrow, if I need to step away for a bit, promise me you'll hold down the fort without despair. Sure. She yelled, her childish confidence stirring something inside him. And with her spirited agreement, Mark felt a life-altering choice unfold before him. Tomorrow loomed like an unopened box, filled with unknown possibilities. Would he meet with the shadows of his past, or would he dive deeper into the light of Lily's world? As he held onto her hand tightly, ready to face the dawn, the question lingered like the tantalizing taste of a secret yet to be shared. What would he discover if he dared to confront the memories hidden away? The next morning arrived with a glow that lit up the edges of Mark's restless thoughts. As sunlight streamed through the curtains, warming the small living room, he knew today wouldn't just be another day. Today would demand something of him. As he made breakfast, he watched Lily dance around the kitchen, her tiny feet tapping to a song only she could hear. Her laughter filled the space, providing a soundtrack that both soothed and surged with urgency. Daddy! She called, her eyes sparkling like the morning dew. Can we go on an adventure today? An adventure. The word echoed in his mind, weighing heavily on him. What kind of adventure could he afford? What could he promise without exposing her to the shadows he fought so hard to keep at bay? Of course. An adventure sounds perfect. He said, forcing a smile. What do you have in mind? Lily thought for a moment, placing her hands on her little hips like a mini superhero. I want to go to the big park. The one with the carousel and the big slide. It was a familiar place that echoed with their past joys, a location alive with laughter and memories that felt safe. But still, unease twisted inside him. What if he stumbled upon the past he was trying to outrun? What if we go this afternoon, after lunch? He suggested, choosing to focus on something tangible. Okay. She clapped her hands together, her excitement sparking a warmth in him. As they finished breakfast, Mark's phone buzzed, an intrusive sound against their playful morning. He hesitated, glancing at the screen. The name that flashed was familiar but unwanted. An old contact, someone from a time he tried desperately to leave behind. Mark, what's wrong? Lily asked, noticing his frown. Nothing, just some old friends trying to catch up. The words tasted bitter in his mouth. They were not friends, they were remnants of a life he wished to forget. She sensed his tension and stepped closer. Can I see? No, sweetheart. It's not for you to worry about. He brushed it aside. He was guarding her from everything, including the echoes of his choices. Once they left the house, a decision loomed. With every step toward the park, he could feel the tendrils of his past creeping up behind him. Could he confront it today? Or would he turn back into the safety of their simple life? The park was bustling as it always was, kids squealing with joy and parents chatting away, a vibrant community he missed being a part of. But he couldn't enjoy it just yet. His heart was still tethered to those thoughts that tangled within, the wary anticipation of that woman haunting him again. When they approached the carousel, Mark's gaze darted around. Lily was lost in the colorful splendor, spinning laughter and joy around them. But then she tugged at his arm, her eyes shining like stars. "Can we ride?" "Absolutely," he replied, trying to wrap around her energy. As they climbed aboard a vibrant blue pony, he felt a momentary sense of belonging. Laughter echoed around him, children's faces lit up, and for an instant, he was swept away, but then a familiar figure appeared in the periphery of his vision. Before he could blink, there she was, the woman from yesterday, standing by the benches, watching him. Her expression was unreadable, but those eyes held too much of his past, too many questions he wasn't ready to answer. "Mark, look!" Lily squealed beside him, oblivious to the storm swirling just out of reach. "I'm flying." His heart raced, adrift between fear and the urge to protect. In that beautiful chaos, he felt time stretch, heartbeats amplifying the silence between him and the woman who lingered on the edges of his life. "Daddy, are you okay?" Lily's voice broke through, concern etched across her tiny face. "I'm just gathering my thoughts," he murmured, sweat prickling at the back of his neck. He couldn't deny it any longer. Today was not just about fun. It was about confronting what he had buried deep. Could he face the woman again? Would he let Lily see the shadows that flickered, threatening their precious light? As the carousel spun, he felt a pull toward those memories, a tug between protecting her and embracing the truth. With tension crackling in the air, an unshakable question loomed: what would he say if she approached him again? The carousel slowed, and life around them resumed its usual pace, laughter and chatter bursting forth like a breath of fresh air. Yet Mark's mind was elsewhere, anchored in turbulent waters. He could feel the weight of Lily beside him, her innocence radiating warmth that pushed against his cold apprehension. "Do you want to go on the slide next?" Lily asked, hopping off her blue pony and pulling at his hand. "Sure, that sounds great." He smiled, forcing a lightness into his voice as they made their way across the park. But every step felt heavier. The woman still loomed in the back of his mind, her presence like a ghost refusing to be overlooked. As they climbed to the top of the slide, Mark stole a glance back at the benches. She hadn't moved. Instantly, a wave of anxiety washed over him, the kind that made it hard to breathe. He watched Lily launch herself down the slide with elation, her giggles cascading like music that flowed around his heart, threatening to drown out the suffocating weight of his past. "Did you see me, Daddy? I was so fast," she shouted once she reached the ground, bouncing on her feet. "Yeah. You were incredible." He couldn't help but smile at her joy, yet dread simmered beneath the surface. He couldn't figure out how to combine his worries with the light of her laughter. As the day drifted on, Mark and Lily played, building castles in the sand and tossing frisbees amidst the ruckus of other children. He wanted to believe that time was on their side, that they could simply slip into moments of bliss without consequence. But each moment of delight was tethered to the looming doubt that soon the woman would approach. "Hey, should we get some ice cream?" Mark suggested, hoping to divert his thoughts. "Yes. Chocolate and sprinkles, please." Lily beamed, clasping her hands together. The ice cream stand was bustling, the smell of waffle cones wafting through the air. As they waited, Mark felt a familiar sting at the nape of his neck, the sensation of being watched. He turned slightly, his heart sinking as he met the woman's gaze, now fixed directly on him, her expression unreadable. "Daddy?" Lily tugged at his sleeve, unaware of the storm brewing beneath the calm. "Let us get that ice cream," he said, forcing his focus to the line ahead. But fear twisted inside him, coiling tighter. What if she approached him now? What would he say? On their way to a nearby picnic table, he felt her warming presence behind him, like the sun breaking through a cloudy sky. She drew nearer, her voice soft but resonant, "Mark." He froze. The sound of her voice was both a balm and a blade. It cut through him, reaching the tender spots he thought he'd securely tucked away. Lily stood still beside him, sensing the change in the air. "Excuse me, sir, this is my daughter," he stammered, protective instinct taking over as he turned to face her fully. The world around them faded into a hush, and Mark's heart raced, not just at the sight of her but at the choice he was about to face. "Can we talk?" she asked, her eyes searching his for a glimpse of the past they shared. "Now." He glanced down at Lily, her confused face mirroring his own internal chaos. "Yes, please. It's important." Mark's mind spiraled. Could he afford to unravel today? He could either allow Lily to witness the echoes of who he used to be or make the decision to shield her, to continue this dance of pretending everything was fine. As he stood there, time halted, the rush of the park, the laughter of children, melted away into a quiet streak where he barely recognized himself. "Daddy, are you okay?" Lily's tiny voice broke through the fog again, her innocent concern anchoring him back to the moment. The tension tightened around them, his heart yearned both for truth and for safety. Could he explain this to her? What if this moment changed everything? With choices looming like shadows, he faced the woman again, now or never. "What do you want?" he finally asked, his voice trembling, the question slicing through the air between them. But in that instant, another thought rose from the depths. Could he risk everything he had built for the secrets she might unveil? What truths would she uncover? Mark's world spun, the vibrant chaos of the park fading into a distant hum. His focus narrowed, his heart pounding like a drum in his ears. The woman's presence wasn't just a reminder of a past he wanted to forget, it was a prompt for reckoning, flickering between the safety of today and the uncertain tides of yesterday. Lily tugged at his sleeve again, her big eyes searching his face. "Daddy, can we go eat ice cream now?" A cascade of innocent hope filled her voice, pulling at his heart. He wanted to say yes, to brush everything aside and indulge in the simplicity of childhood joys. "Lily, why don't you pick our spot at the table?" "I'll be right there." Mark dashed into the blur of park life, layers of laughter encasing him as he approached the woman. This wasn't just a casual encounter, it felt monumental, like standing on the edge of a precipice, ready to leap. "Why now?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The question trembled slightly, betraying the rush of emotions swirling inside him, the shadows of anger, sadness, and confusion. She looked at him with a mix of regret and determination. "I know you were happy here with her, and I didn't think it was right to interfere, until now. I need to explain." The words hung between them, dangerous and laden with implication. "Explain what?" he shot back, the urge to protect Lily's innocence surging through him like adrenaline. "You disappeared from my life. You left me with nothing but questions. What could you possibly say that would make any of this better?" A small sigh escaped her lips, her vulnerability flickering out like a candle's flame. "Because I've spent years regretting it, Mark. I thought I was giving you space, allowing you to build a life. But every day I regretted the choice to leave. I want to understand, and I want you to understand me." Mark took a step back, wrestling with the flood of emotions coursing through him. Memories surged him alone, pacing their old apartment, hoping she'd come through that door. The silence had been deafening, a void that echoed through every part of his life. A breeze carried the sweet scent of cotton candy and popcorn from a nearby stand, and there was Lily, playing on the grass, oblivious to the storm raging around her. She was everything. "Stop!" Mark snapped, a desperate note in his voice. "You're affecting my daughter. If you truly cared, you'd stay away." "How can I do that?" she challenged, her voice tight with emotion. "I see you building this life, and I feel responsible for the emptiness you had to carry. I'm here because it's time I faced that." A silence stretched between them, punctuated only by distant laughter and Lily's joyous cheers as she played tag with other kids. Mark felt his heart tug towards her, the warmth of her laughter breaking through the tension. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about her future. I know. Her voice softened, almost a whisper now, filled with softness and uncertainty. But I truly believe if I could just see her, it could bring some closure to all of us. I've changed, Mark. Let me show you. The air thickened as he processed her plea. Could he trust what she said? Could he even consider opening that door? A part of him raged against the thought, protective instincts flaring to life as he resolved to guard Lily at all costs. Time's up, he said, glancing back at Lily who was standing alone now, watching them with furrowed brows. This conversation is over. You can't just walk back into our lives. But even as he turned away, that familiar knot twisted in his stomach. What if she truly had changed? What if there were pieces of the past that could help shape a better future for him, for her, for Lily? As he walked towards his daughter, the weight of potential misery hung between them, heavy and unyielding. Lily reached for his hand, and for a moment, it felt as if everything might be okay. "Daddy!" she exclaimed, tugging him with excitement. "Did you get the sprinkles?" Mark looked down at her, excitement shining in her eyes. He took a deep breath, pushing the swirling emotions aside and focused on her. But the question lingered in his mind like a shadow. Could his past truly haunt their future? Just before they reached the picnic table, he turned back one last time, meeting the woman's gaze. The question remained unspoken but echoed loud in his head: what if this wasn't the end? And with that, he knew one way or another, the tether to his past would not be severed easily. What decisions would he have to make that day? With Lily watching, it felt as if everything was about to change, again. The warmth of the afternoon sun enveloped Mark as he returned to Lily, her small hand clasped tightly in his. He glanced back one last time at the woman, that unsettling reminder of a life he thought he had closed the door on. Would there ever be a day when the past wouldn't shadow his every step? "Daddy!" Lily exclaimed, her eyes sparkling like the summer sky. "Ice cream time!" Mark forced a smile as they settled at a picnic table adorned with laughter and candies. The mundane pleasures of a melting cone suddenly became precious. Each lick, each giggle, made the day brighter. Yet a knot twisted in his stomach, gripping him as tightly as Lily held her cone. As they dove into their ice cream, he watched her, filled with a bubbling joy that felt contagious. "I love this adventure, Daddy," she said in her innocent excitement. But each echo of her laughter came with whispers of doubt. "Me too, kiddo," Mark said, swallowing the dissonance rising in him. He needed to protect this moment, this fragile happiness that cocooned them both. "Can we ride the carousel again?" "Sure. But let us finish first." He chuckled, trying to shake off the lingering heaviness that hung over his thoughts. As they finished their ice cream, he captured the moment in his heart, the bright colors around him, the sweet taste on his tongue, Lily's pure unfiltered joy illuminating the uncertainty that shadowed him. Before long, they made their way back to the carousel, the colorful horses dancing in a circle, epitomizing the joyful innocence of childhood. As they rode, Mark let Lily's laughter wash over him, feeling momentarily weightless. "Look, Daddy. I'm a unicorn," she squealed, spinning in her seat. "Yes, you are." His heart swelled at the sincerity in her voice, a gentle reminder that innocence still blossomed amidst the storms. As they laughed together, Mark found himself promising to fight for this kind of joy no matter the past lurking in the background. As the carousel slowed, he caught sight of the woman again. She was speaking with another person now, a man who looked serious yet calm. A part of Mark tensed at the uncertain connection that pulsed from them. "Ready to go, Lily?" He reached out, his instincts guiding him towards the protective father he longed to be. But in the midst of packing up their day, he felt strength building, a quiet bravery rising against the uncertainty waiting beyond the moment. "Yeah," she chirped, twirling away as they stepped down from the carousel. Let us sit for a minute, Mark said, guiding her towards a shaded bench. The park still buzzed with life, children raced by, parents chatted, and laughter filled the gaps. The world around them felt vibrant and alive. "Daddy, can I tell you something?" Lily looked up at him, her expression suddenly serious. "Of course, sweetheart." He could feel her delicate fingers intertwining with his larger hand, grounding him in the moment. "I don't want you to be sad," she said, her voice steady yet soft. "It makes me sad, too." His heart clenched at her earnestness. "I know, Lily, I promise I'll try. I just want to make sure things stay happy for us." Lily nodded thoughtfully. "You matter, Daddy. So you have to be happy too." Mark felt the weight of her words settle into his chest. As her words washed over him, he knew feeling hollow wouldn't protect her. It only made her bear the weight he had carried for too long. "I will, Lily." He squeezed her hand, appreciating her wisdom. "And thank you for reminding me." They smiled at each other, a moment of shared understanding sparking between them, a bond stronger than anything life had thrown their way. Just then, the woman approached, her expression cautious, but her tone kind. "Can we talk?" Mark hesitated, the remnants of hesitation and anger bubbling within him. "Please, I just want to explain," she implored, sincerity etched into her features. "I know I hurt you, but I've thought of you both every day. I just want a chance to talk." He glanced at Lily, who was tugging at her ice cream-covered fingers, unsure of the storm brewing around them. "Just 1 minute," he began, his heart racing, yet resolved. Today was a day of choices. Choosing to confront the shadows didn't mean he'd let them dictate the joy he had found. "Okay," he finally said, watching her face fill with hope. "But I'm not making any promises." He took a deep breath, reminding himself Princess Lily was watching, and whatever came next, he had to protect her heart. As they stepped away for privacy, Lily caught sight of another group of children inviting her to play. Instinctively, she ran toward them, her laughter like a balm to his soul. "I'll be right here," he called after, and through it all, while shadows may loom in the corners, this was a chance to rise above, not just for him but for the daughter who inspired a new beginning. Turning back to the woman, Mark straightened with a renewed sense of purpose as he faced her and spoke, "Let us talk, but it's on my terms." And with that, he chose to confront the past while holding tightly to the precious future that awaited him just on the other side, filled with laughter and love, and most importantly, the irreplaceable bond he shared with Lily. Tomorrow would be a new dawn. And today was theirs, fierce and unyielding. As these thoughts washed over him, he was filled with a sense of hope, because even though the past could reach out, it was the present that defined who they were becoming. And he was ready to embrace it. If you felt inspired by this transformation, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help these stories reach more hearts. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from you. Share instantly this story with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Let us keep this journey going together.